Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar on three-step guide to fast and effective EDI integration. I'll be the host. So my name is Vav Sidhu. I'm the Director of Marketing at Cell Trino, and I'm joined by Emmett. He can introduce himself.
Hi everybody, it's Emmett here from Cell Trino, and I'm in sales.
Brilliant. So we're just waiting for a few more people to join. But what we're going to do, and I'll leave this on screen for a few people, is just get a quick poll on the go. So question we're asking is, what causes you or your team the most stress with EDI management? So is it time delays, projects taking months when they should be taking weeks, the risk involved in a migration or an integration, so anything around data mapping or poor system integration, or is it the post-launch chaos? So any challenges with support, does it cause any business disruption, or you want to avoid that as much as possible? So what is it for you that gives you any stress? And if you could just comment 1, 2, or 3 in the chat, then what we'll do is we'll just recap that at the end, so we can make sure that we're kind of giving the right information to you and trying to help you as much as possible. You might see a fancy banner at the bottom of this right now. So I'll keep this on for a little bit while we go through the presentations and Emmett kicks us off, and then we'll circle back. Bit about housekeeping. So if you've got any questions or thoughts as we're going through the webinar, please feel free to add them to the comment section in the LinkedIn stream, and then we'll get to them at the end of this time. If we don't manage to get to any, then we'll contact you directly with the answers, or we'll post in an email out to everybody to make sure that everything's covered as best as possible. So no further ado, I'll let Emmett kick us off.
Thank you very much. So Emmett here, almost 20 years experience working in EDI integration projects. So a vast amount of knowledge here, and I can take you through a high-level overview of how an EDI project works. Rob, can you move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so what we have here is mastering the EDI project, okay? So there's essentially two reasons why a company will initiate an EDI project. Number one, they may have a new accounts package. You may be moving from SAP to Sage, or you have a current EDI company and you're looking to change to a new provider. So, Rob, can you move on to the next slide? Okay, common integration challenges. Number one, security vulnerabilities. So recently, Jaguar and Marks and Spencers had hacks into their company. So if you have an old IT system that's vulnerable, you may be thinking about upgrading it to a new system.
So Emmett,
yes?
which are the most secure ways of shoring up the system, and which are the ones that you think propose the highest risk?
So if you have an old EDI system, you could be using FTP. So FTP is used to send and receive files, and that is very old and very vulnerable. And I have seen some companies suffer hacks because of that. It wouldn't conform to the latest IT security standards. So that was top of everybody's list. Business continuity. So you want to keep your files flowing. You want your orders in, your advanced shipping notifications out, and your invoices sent. Now, if you're having current problems with any of those, you certainly need to look into upgrading your system. Another common problem, invoice failures, costly reworks, advanced shipping notifications not processing, trucks being turned away from depots, fines from your customers. That's a hassle you don't really need. And scalability in the future. You may be looking at implementing a new warehouse management system. You need some sophisticated handhelds for your reps. All of these can be integrated into a new IT systems such as SAP or Sage or Oracle. So you could be having problems with any of or all of these. So that's one of the reasons why a company will think about moving to a new system.
On
Can you move?
the
Sorry, yeah.
sorry, on the scalability, I've just been at Cell Trino for a couple of weeks, but already I've seen kind of prospects and customers come to us and say, we've just got this new relationship. They're telling us we need to do X, Y, and Z. How common is that people all of a sudden have this growth somewhat unexpected, and then they're kind of in a pinch to get something resolved quite quickly?
Very common. And you could be trading with Asda and Morrison's, and now your reps have got you listed with Tesco's. Tesco's could have some new requirements that you've never seen before. So you could be asked to send advanced shipping notifications or some other type of file. So you may not have the facility to do that. So that's where an IT company such as Cell Trino can come in useful, because we can guide you through that process.
Yeah, that makes sense. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off during compliance and audit and readiness. My main thing about that point was, what impact does that have on tax and, government changes?
Yes, well, the tax agencies are always interested in how much money they can get for you, Rav. So if you have problems with your invoicing and you're not getting paid, obviously there's a cash flow issue there into the company, but also into revenue. So that's something that's very important.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we have here are the pre-steps. So at the start of the new project, what we'll do is we will come in, have a look at your accounts package, have a look at the files you're currently sending, have a look and see what you're planning on doing. We'll have meetings with your IT specialists, and we'll work out what is best suited for the company that's interested in this project. So we'll tailor the solution to the customer. And that's just a couple of meetings with finance, operations team, and IT to see what they want and when they want it delivered. So it's important to get that done at the start. So what we have here, integration blueprint. So this explains it in a bit more detail, but discovery and scope. And essentially that's just the files that are coming in and out of your accounts system. So it could be Oracle, Sage, SAP, or even your own bespoke system. We'll look at the files that you currently get. We'll map it out for you. And then we'll move on to the second stage, the partner onboarding. Have a look at all the customers you have, Tesco's, Morrison's, Asda, see what requirements they have, and tailor the system to it. And the third and final part is go live. So once you're set up and tested, what you want is all your files to process successfully. And that would tend to be the invoicing part of it. So there's no cash flow issues with the system. So you can jump to the next slide, please, Rav. So discovery and scoping. Now, this is really something that techies or your IT people will hammer out together. And your current account system, you could be producing CSV files or XML files, EDI files. It's the sort of thing that the techies will understand. So detailed dive into your IT system to see what you can and can't do. And from there, work on a technical blueprint so you know exactly what you need to do for your customers going forward. And there's a whole bunch of different files that you can send and receive. Generally, Cell Trino systems, we can map whatever you send into whatever you need to send to your customer.
So,
Rob, can you move? Oh, sorry.
So imagine kind of first time looking at EDI, you're not familiar with the different documents, and you really need hand holding through this. What would the prospect or the business, the manufacturer kind of need to do to get this? Like, I know I need EDI. My retailer said I need EDI, but I don't even know. I only just learned what EDI is. Can you help me? What would be your approach there?
Okay, so a new customer, they need to set up a Tesco, for example. So the IT system that the customer uses, I'll just pick Sage as an example. Most Sage providers would have an EDI component that's built into Sage. So essentially, they just add a little application onto Sage. And from that, you can produce an electronic invoice. So it's just a matter of getting that data out of Sage. Okay, so it sounds a bit scary, but essentially, most IT systems will have a component that can do this. And it's really straightforward to do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so step number 2, partner onboarding. So you're at a stage now where you can produce invoices from your accounts package. So what you want to do is you want to test with Morrison's, Marks and Spencer's, Asda, Aldi. It doesn't matter who it is, but each of these companies has their own file format. So what we do is we'll take your generic invoice file and map it into the customer's specification. So how that's done is usually initially when the project starts, we'll do a lot of testing on our test system so that by the time you get to your business partner, your data is usually pretty good. So it's a matter of sending, receiving files and a couple of rounds of testing before you go live. So in this scenario, you're mostly talking orders, advanced shipping notifications, and invoices. So each of these customers has their own requirements, and we'll help you work through their own peculiar testing systems. So web portals, sometimes it's direct testing with the customer. So that's how that works essentially.
So Emmett, if a manufacturer has an existing process and they're looking for bringing in a new system, how would we run tests while not interfering with kind of day-to-day business continuity? Could we do two systems at the same time, or how would that work?
Yes. So that type of testing is called parallel testing. So the old system, it's working, the orders and invoices are flowing as normal. So let's say you want to set up with Oracle. So the new system is Oracle. And what you want to do is we'll start testing on the test system initially. So the live system is completely separate. That's working fine. We'll test a bunch of orders, invoices, advanced shipping notifications on your new Oracle system, but it's all in a test environment, all in the little sandbox. And when you're ready to switch from your old system to the new Oracle system, most of the work is already complete. It's just a matter of connecting directly with your customer. So that could be Asda, for example, so that you don't want to impact your orders at all. You want the orders to come through as quickly as possible. So the connection with a buyer such as Asda or Tesco is usually very straightforward to set up. So you don't want to interfere with the old system at all. You just want the orders to process. So that can be done in parallel.
Okay, thank you.
So once the testing is complete, it's go live time. All you want is your system to run smoothly like it has before. Now, ordering systems will normally, they will work fine. What you'll find is once you go live, you could get invoice errors as you're moving from one system to another. The data that's in your database, it may not be perfect. So you'll get a bunch of invoice rejections. So the support team will assist clean up all the old data so that when the invoices that are found, we can help resolve any problems you have. That's fairly standard support. So in the future, once it goes live, you get the occasional error. So it's essentially just a matter of having a look at the problem, giving feedback to the IT department so that they fix it, and then the invoice flow is normal.
So yeah, Emmett, have you seen, obviously how you've gone through this is it's really kind of simplified to the approach that you would typically follow with your projects. But I think there's a big difference between simplicity and it being clear. So while you've explained it simply, it is still quite a complex project. Where do you see kind of in this go live handover, what do you see as kind of the big risks when we get to this stage?
Go live handover. I'd say the most common problem here is initially when you test with a customer, you're just using a small sample of invoices or products or services so that the testing phase can go smoothly. And once you go live, you can get a lot of data issues from your system. So an example might be invalid barcodes on your products, for example. So that will cause an invoice to be rejected by Tesco or for most other buyers or multiples. So it's just a matter of going through the rejections that happen and just cleaning it up. That's actually pretty straightforward. It only takes a couple of rejections before you clean up the data. So it's usually simple data issues, missing purchase order number or invalid location codes, usually straightforward things like that.
Okay. And when there's errors and they get flagged, is say a customer has put in an order incorrectly, so that order won't be processed. Will the customer be informed that it wasn't received or they need to make a correction, or is that on the manufacturer to then manually take that, interpret it, and re-input it, or can they go back to the customer? How would that process go?
Okay. Well, let's say there's a problem with an order. So if you try to send an order out to a customer and it fails, usually that's a data issue. So you can contact the buyer to do that themselves, or there's backup systems where you can view an order on the website. We can email orders to customers. We can manually repair orders and push them through. And likewise, it's the same with invoices too. If you have a problem with an invoice, we can advise you on how to fix the problem. And in some cases, we can fix it for you and just send them through.
So in the years that you've been doing this, do you see that it's typically the same problems that keep coming up, and there's just slightly nuanced, or do you see that there's lots of changes happening project to project?
Well, to be honest with you, it's a mixture of both. Each customer has their own requirements, but in general, most of the problems at this stage to go live, it's generally just data issues. That's all. So standard enough to fix those and assist the customer to clean up their database.
So what's the typical? Because obviously people have done. We've done a phased rollout in Cell Trino instances. I know not every business does those, but we've done a phased one so we can roll back. But say a company didn't do a phased rollout for whatever reason, and they went live, and then there were issues with orders and invoices. How quickly should they be getting a response from their kind of EDI partners?
Okay, so I would expect a response from the support team or project team in an hour or two. So if you have a problem with your files, that's the support team should be able to assist you on that very quickly.
Brilliant.
Oh, so Rav, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, we do. I know I've peppered you with loads of questions just now, but we do have a couple more. One more. Okay, so the first one is, what is the biggest hidden cost of a flawed EDI process?
Oh boy. Biggest cost, I would say, would not be getting your orders onto the shelf of the depot or the store. You're talking huge disruption to your operations there. So that's number one. Ordering problems, a huge problem. Also, with ordering, a number of warehouses require advanced shipping notifications. So you could be processing your orders properly, but if your advanced shipping notifications aren't correct, what you're going to see is fines from your business partner, or they'll just refuse the delivery, which is a complete disaster. That's the worst problem I can see.
Yeah, I was actually I was reading up on Marks and Spencer's supplier policy. I think that's what it's called, and they do say actually in that policy that if goods are unable to be delivered or be received due to missing your slot or for whatever reason, then you could be on the line for the entire cost of the missed shipment for what they would have got if the items was on shelves and would have been able to sell for. So I think that's a big one, and understanding those policies are becoming a bit more kind of stricter.
Yes, and if your product has a short shelf life, like a fresh food supplier, I mean, that's disastrous. That's an
Mm,
entire container full of stock that's waste, essentially.
absolutely. Another question we've got is, can I train my internal IT team to be EDI specialists to self-manage?
Yes, that is possible, but to be honest with you, it usually just happens with experience. The more experience your IT team has, the better they get at it. So you could have a really experienced operator in your IT that knows everything about EDI, but they could retire, or they could move to a different part of the company, or move to a different company. So all that knowledge is gone. So generally, when there's a new IT person, they would just train them again. So it's quite common to lose a lot of knowledge when somebody retires, for example, but the next person in can be trained up again. But it just takes time, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I've actually just seen a lot more questions come in, so it's a good job you don't have to pick up your daughter, Emmett. So how can you get trading partners to comply with misspell here. How can you get trading partners to comply with and engage with the process?
Okay, this again is a common issue. Some trading partners are faster than others to respond. So each of these different partners have their own setup. So some will use a web portal. Some you have to test directly with their EDI team. Now each of them have their own pros and cons. So I would have a lot of experience dealing with people. So to be honest with you, it's just personal knowledge and knowing the right contact to push a project through. So again, it's just a lot of personal information you'd build up over years to push it through quicker.
Yeah.
So you just need to know the right person. That's the truth.
And do you see more issues coming from internal readiness or from partner alignment when things go off track?
I would say it's a mixture of both, actually, fairly even. So some buyers can be extremely slow to set up and test. It can take them 6 months to set you up, whereas other buyers, Tesco's, maybe you could have them set up and tested within a month.
Mm.
If you're brand new to EDI, it can be a bit difficult initially. So that could be the supplier who's having issues. So it's a mixture of both, really.
Okay. Another one. When you talk about phased rollout, how do you decide what's phase one versus what to defer until later?
Essentially, every project, although completely different, it follows the same template. So phase number one, you look in and you review all the technical data that you currently have on your system or the system you're planning to use. And from there, it just snowballs out to the testing phase and then the go live phase.
Mm.
Usually, there's multiple potential problems you can have, but with experience, these can be mitigated at the very early stage. So I would know by just looking at somebody's current system and what they're planning on doing, like what the potential pitfalls are for. And that's usually tailor made to the customer's
Okay.
requirements.
That makes sense. Next one is, we have a customer on EDI who are changing their invoice format soon. Will Cell Trino do the mapping to the new format so no changes needed on our side?
Yes. So generally what happens is your system will produce like just a generic standard invoice format. I'll get that file and then I can map it into your partner's requirements. So a lot of that information can be put in by Cell Trino. So if Cell Trino can put it in, they will put it in.
Okay, brilliant. How can you reduce project delays when so many EDI integrations depend on trading partner responsiveness, something you don't control?
Yes, a common problem. Normally at the start of a project, I'll look at the customer's partner. So you might be trading with 10, and I'll just be honest with you and say the top 6 there, they're easy enough to work with, and then I'll list the slowest partners. So if you want to engage with a partner, the first step is to talk to your buyer over in Aldi or Tesco. Let them know you're making some changes, and the buyer can help you, and they can push the EDI team to speed up their testing process. But unfortunately, it is a problem that does occur where you're delays with partners.
Yeah,
So
there's only so much we can
yeah,
control
but if
here,
you
isn't
know the
there?
right person, you can push it.
Yeah. If I'm an operations or IT leader under pressure to deliver integrations faster, what's the single most important thing to get right before the technical work even begins?
Okay, well that's that's a huge question. You'd have to look at the requirements of what your company is and who you want to trade with at the initially. So if you're just doing invoices and orders, you'd want to look and see if your ERP system can do that. Okay. If you need to look at ASNs, integrated into handhelds, there's so many different things you need to think about. It can be a bit daunting, but like I said, most account systems now, it could be a Microsoft system like Business Central or Oracle Sage. They all have like an EDI component. Any modern system that I've seen has that. So hypothetically, like you should be able to do any EDI project.
Yeah, so the most important thing is, what's going to help you meet your strategic goals better and focusing on the setup and the structure that's going to get you to those. 'Cause that's no one's doing these projects because they've got nothing else to do. They've obviously got goals in mind, and they've got targets. So it's, understanding what those goals and targets are and then making sure the process is tailored towards that. Then I think it's the last one. I felt like I've been interviewing you now, Emmett, like it's a job interview. So what's the biggest mapping mistake companies make when connecting to UK retailers or wholesalers?
Oh, I've seen every mistake under the sun. It tends to be just a specific. Each customer will have their own specific setup. I would say it's just data issue. Data issues are the most common problem.
Mm.
Missing barcodes, incorrect price, incorrect VAT rate. That's the sort of thing that you get. So again, if your database is good, you won't have a problem. It's generally just garbage in, garbage out sort of situation.
Can that be rectified during an EDI process? So if I'm a customer, I think I need to get EDI, but my data's a bit pants. I need to do that first, or can it be part of the same process?
Well, you can do them both at the same time. I would recommend that you have a decent database because it will cause problems at some stage. So that's the most common thing. But again, as you're adding new products to your system or new locations to your system, you'll know what causes problems because it's happened before. So again, it's just the experience that counts.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know the bias, but I think that experience has come up a lot. You do start to see patterns you do start to see things. And obviously, people like yourself and other people within Cell Trino been doing it for a very long time. So it's just that routine. The more you do something, the more consistent you are at it. It's obviously going to help. And that's the same for customers as well. If EDI and scaling and growing is important to you, then you need to get that consistency in it, same as we do as a business for Cell Trino. Okay, I'll just do one final check, but I think you're off the hook now, Emmett. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining and participating, and especially for your questions. I hope you got a lot out of it. I'll let Emmett sign off, and then we'll see you guys next time.
Oh, thank you very much, Rav.
Cheers, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.